not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And we can be more treacherous in our weakness than we can be when we're calculated. Now, this is a response to Rogue Archer. Rogue Archer, asked me to do a video on the subject matter of hidden colors and who are we really, and the whole color code issue, and what do you know? You know what I'm saying? It's right up my alley. Now, as a disclaimer, I have not seen the Hidden Colors movies, but I have done extensive research and read many of books on this subject matter. Have my own philosophies, so I do kind of consider myself somewhat of an erudite in this field. Now, first of all, I want to talk about some of the things Rogue Archer said. Rogue, you said something about human beings are mammals, but we're not primates, like monkeys. When we are primates, we're higher primates, and chimpanzees and baboons are lower primates. But that's okay. Moving on. But yeah, the whole term "people of color," I don't, what I'm saying. I'm not particularly fond of that term. I think it's ridiculous and it's a sort of repugnant. To just say yes, people of color. You don't get a dog and say, hey, that's a dog of color, or go and buy clothes and be like, I'm gonna go get some clothes of color and so forth. I'm like, people, the so-called people of color, we're the norm, and then we let the white people, which they are people of color too, unless they're transparent. But I understand they're pale, and a lot of times you can see the color of their veins in their skin, but and so forth. But I just think that's a ridiculous term, just like a minority, that term. I'm like, how do you define what is a minority? Or who's the majority? I'm like, do you just go by the borders of America and be like, okay, I'm a minority because the majority of people are white? Do you use skin tone as your basis of determining someone who is a majority or minority? Let's say somebody who is a genius, or who's a billionaire, who's a genius, who's on a higher mental plane than the average person, who has wealth and riches beyond the average person. Wouldn't you consider him a minority? You know what I'm saying? But okay, since he's white, you see what I mean? I think those terms are just created to make black people seem more small, or the so-called people who has a melanin in their skin seem small and insignificant. But as white people become the minority, I guarantee you they're going to do away with those terms. Also, if you count in the whole Western Hemisphere, America along with South America, you put all that together, of the Americas, you'll find out, we are the majority. So those are just, I think these terms are very tricks, and are very erroneous. Now, going in here, let's get this, we need to get this understood that black people, we only call ourselves black because the white men did. It's not a term that we called each other. When before we fell under the umbrella of the Caucasians. Whites didn't start using these terms, black, white, until the 1700s. So when people say us black people gotta stick together, we gotta be together. I'm like, us black people didn't exactly stick together before, the white men came into power. It doesn't mean that we was at each other's throats. It's just that, there was different tribes, and different tribes did their own thing. There were certain things that other tribes did that one tribe would look at and be like, hey man, I'm glad I'm not them. What they're doing is ass backwards. There's some tribes that were more docile, friendly. While there were certain tribes that were very protective, of their culture, and very very vicious in combat, and that were never conquered. Especially the Zimba tribe, which I kind of learned this from a Deadliest Warrior. these tribal Africans that weren't captured into slaveries, were never conquered, and had ironworks weapons like the macraca and so forth. You can do your research on that. And they had poisonous darts that they shot off. They were very, you know what I'm saying? They were a force to be reckoned with. People have said that also, the Haitians originate from some sort of tribe in Africa that were very mighty warriors. And I know they couldn't have been too mighty if they were conquered and expedited, but still, you get my drift. Now, we have to get this basis that we weren't calling each other black or Negro, which I can't stand that fucking term Negro, until the white man came and got a hold of us. But the term, it doesn't bother me so much to use black. I know people have linked it with negative connotations, but I look at it like black. Everything comes from blackness. Black is the most powerful color in the spectrum, and everything must return to blackness. So it's, what I'm saying, that word black has its pros and cons. And God dang, man, well, dang phone. But okay, here we're going to go into now. We must understand that there was a whole lot of wheeling and dealing on this planet, exploring and claiming land and discovering. Back when the white man was living in crude huts with smokestacks in them, there's a book called the Black African Discovery of the Americas, written by none other than Michael Crichton. Yes, the same, not Michael, but Michael Bradley, the same Michael Bradley who written The Iceman Inheritance, a book that people have tried to discredit, when I mentioned it up, a certain individual on YouTube. But in this book, it goes into, black people was trenching this land right here since 800 BC. And we know about that stone head, the colossal head, what's it? I'm gonna get his name wrong. Tanakshian, where archaeologists alike have stated that this must have been some figure of great importance in these ancient times, that he was definitely a black man and so forth. But you see what the Caucasians have done, they'll go to some so-called primitive tribe in Africa and state that, hey, this is who we are. We never created any sort of system of mathematics or astronomy and so forth, that we were just these simpletons, And I would say that the greatest crime or sin that the so-called Caucasian has done was lie about our past. Okay, he conquered us, he conquered the world, so forth. I don't even really hold that against him, because white people have been conquering and slaughtering each other in Europe when they thought the world was flat. So of course, when they got the ability to build sailboats and learn maritime knowledge, that if they come across another body of land, they're going to conquer it the same way they did in Europe. But it's the simple fact that they rearranged and Anglo-Saxonized history, and so forth. But yeah, so that's why, but there's plenty of material to to do your research on. I'm like, there's also a movie called Once We're Warriors. It's about the Maori tribe in New Zealand, and these were Polynesian peoples. Okay, wait a minute here. These people originated in what we consider now to be Hawaii. The original name of these islands escaped me. I think they called it Hawaii too. But these people have sailed all the way over to Australia and created a settlement. Now this was back when the white people was living in the Stone Age, before Christopher Columbus. Wow, fascinating. Matter of fact, in this book here, Kahuna Healing, you know, written by Serge King, it states that even though this book is about the healing practices and the mystics of the Polynesian people, it does go into they were sailing all over. These people were sailing all over the globe, you know, when whites didn't have a clue on how to put together a damn canoe, you know, and so forth. So yeah, and there's a movie about it, you know, but in this movie these once great warriors were just living very dysfunctional on alcohol and on drugs and under the rulership of the white man. This is why I don't criticize blacks here in America that much. Because when the white man comes in town, when he colonized the so-called natural toned people, you know, people of a darker hue, they don't function right. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they go insane. The same way someone who's locked up in prison. You know, their culture and everything is demolished. So you can't really blame them. And people may say, well, people went around killing each other before the white man. That's not my point. The point is that white people have stagnated people's growth. Now, hence, when other cultures of people, Africans, or when you consider the Native Americans or whatever, when they killed each other, it didn't stunt their growth. They were still able to build advanced weaponry, create systems of mathematics, try to create written language and so forth, about them fighting against each other. Hence, when white people open up their umbrella over us, when we fight each other, we don't grow from it. You know what I'm saying? Not like pirates, you know what I'm saying, of the Caribbeans, when they able to create faster and more powerful pirate ships to claim the seas. So hence, going to war will create advances in technology and concepts and strategies, you know, as opposed to just regular fighting each other where you just become dumb degenerates. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of you people won't get what I'm saying because it's too macroscopic for you. You know what I'm saying? So some of you dumb people, especially Tommy Sotomayor fan, just turn the video off. This is way too deep for you. You know. Okay. So yeah. Also, Rogue Archer went into how white people tried to genetically annihilate us. You know, and he said that to try to do that is to try to take dark matter out of night sky. And yeah, he was right about that. There's also a movie called Rabbit Proof Fence that took, you know, it's about Australia. It's about how these people tried to genetically wipe out the Aboriginal people by interbreeding with them, by saying each generation will get lighter and have more Caucasian type features until the Aboriginals are non-existent. It was a complete failure, you know what I mean? And Aboriginals' genetics aren't even as strong as ours, and they couldn't even, you know what I'm saying? The only way they destroyed the Aboriginals is just to physically just, you know, kill them off or get them to kill each other with drugs and alcohol and so forth, you know? And for white people to do these type of things and go to sleep with a clear conscience, that's almost inhuman. And whites are in such denial of the things that they've done and their concepts. That's why it's very important for us to not have the mind state or the mentality of our colonizers, you know, and our conquerors, you know, and not look at the world from their point of view. Like, for instance, the Dark Ages in Europe. And when they talk about the Dark Ages, you know, what are they talking about? So when the Europeans went through their Dark Age, was Africans going through their Dark Age? Was the Native Americans going through their Dark Age? No, I think not. You know, that's their point of, you know, white people was living, and when they was going through their bubonic plague and living in rat-infested villages and so forth, and living in such deplorable conditions back then, and yeah, and that was just them. So you know, that's like when they thought the world was flat. Did the whole world think that? Did every other culture think the world was flat? No, it was there. But they always want to give you a Eurocentric point of view of everything. And also going into the Black Plague, you know, why did that spread? Why didn't that spread all over the world? You know, why was it so contained? You know why? Because the Black Moors and the Arabs did whatever they could to isolate these people you know what I'm saying, by cutting off trade with the Europeans, so their filthy diseases didn't spread, didn't become an epidemic worldwide. But a lot of the European diseases was come because, you know, they didn't bathe. You know, matter of fact, when the Roman Empire fell, and when Britannia came into power, and Christianity ruled over Europe, they outlawed taking baths because, for some reason. Matter of fact, one of the queens, Queen Victoria or whatever, was considered the cleanest woman in Europe because she took 2 baths a year. So I'm like, this is all written in books written by white people. I'm not making this up to try to bash them and so forth. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just giving you a glimpse of you know what I'm saying, what you're dealing with. And now whites have reversed things and called us dirty and filthy and so forth. But yeah, and and then you had the Age of Enlightenment. Now this was the era when white people figured out the world was round, and they were sailing and they was opening up ports when they supposedly got, you know what I'm saying, more smart. But it was funny because in this area, that's when they was conquering and really killing people and enslaving people, and really when they was hitting the high seas, you know, so when they was pillaging and plundering, you know, and they consider this the Age of Enlightenment. Yeah, I'm like, it's all about perception. It's all about perception. Now, what else do I want to get into? I don't want to make this video too long because then I can go on for 2 hours about this subject matter because I'm very I have a dense knowledge of it, but I kind of want to keep it short because I know you guys have things to do.